Mira sat quietly in the backseat of the smooth, silent car. The window beside her showed the early morning sky, soft and gray, as tall buildings passed by slowly. Her hands were folded on her lap. Wrinkles marked her skin like old tree bark, each line telling a piece of her long life. Her adopted daughter, Lena, sat in the front seat, both hands on the steering wheel. She was focused, not speaking much. Her dark hair was tied back neatly. Mira watched her through the rear-view mirror. "You don't have to do this, Lena," Mira said gently. Her voice was calm, but sad. "I know I'm old, I forget things, but I can still take care of myself a little." Lena didn't answer right away. Her eyes stayed on the road ahead. Then she spoke softly. "You're not going where you think, Mother." Mira gave a quiet laugh, though it had no joy. "You don't have to lie. I'm not angry. If it's a nursing home, then say it. I'll be fine." Still, Lena didn't say yes or no. She just kept driving. The city began to fade behind them. The roads grew quieter. Trees replaced the tall buildings. A few birds flew by. Mira watched them and smiled a little. She loved birds. She used to keep a feeder on the window when she lived in her house, before her memory started slipping away. "Where are we going then?" she asked, trying to keep her voice light. "You'll see soon," Lena said. Mira noticed something strange. They were now passing signs with no words, just shapes and lines she didn't recognize. One looked like a triangle inside a circle. Another looked like a wave with dots. "Is this the countryside?" Mira asked. "No, not exactly," Lena replied. Cars slowed near a gate. It looked like an old warehouse at first glance, but something was off. There were no signs, no workers, no noise. Just metal walls and a long tunnel going underground. A red light scanned the car silently, then turned. Green. The gate opened without a sound. Mira sat up straighter. Her heart began to beat faster. This was not a place she had ever seen before. "Lena?" she whispered. "What is this?" Lena didn't answer. She drove inside. The tunnel was long and dark, but lights on the ceiling followed the car, turning on one by one as they moved forward. The air changed. It felt cooler, cleaner, almost too clean. The silence around them was deep. No wind, no sound of engines, just the gentle hum of the car. Finally, the tunnel ended in a wide, open space. Mira gasped. In front of her stood a massive silver object, shaped like a bird with no wings. It was resting on smooth rails, like a train. Blue lights ran along its sides. The air smelled like metal and something she could not name. A spaceship. She had only seen them in pictures. In news shows. They were still rare, still secret. "Lena." "This isn't a home," Mira said. Her voice trembled. Lena got out of the car, came around, and opened Mira's door. "No," she said gently. "It's not a home like that." "Then, where are we going?" Mira asked. Lena helped her out slowly. "Somewhere far, somewhere important." Mira looked around. The walls of the chamber were filled with smooth panels and blinking lights. A group of people in silver suits stood near the ship waiting. One of them nodded at Lena. Mira whispered, "Am I being taken for testing? I never signed anything." "You're not a test subject, Mother," Lena said with a small smile. "You're the reason all this exists." Mira stared at her. "What are you talking about?" Lena looked into her eyes. "You saved the world once. You just don't remember." Before Mira could ask more, Lena guided her toward the ship. A ramp lowered slowly, and soft white lights lit the path. Mira moved slowly, each step careful. The air near the ship felt different, like standing near something powerful, but gentle. As they entered, Mira saw the inside was nothing like a plane. There were no rows of seats. Just a large open space with glowing floors, curved walls, and smooth seats that seemed to grow out of the floor. It didn't feel human. Made. Mira turned to Lena. "You're not telling me everything." Lena nodded. Not yet. You need time to remember. Remember what? Mira asked. Lena walked to a panel and pressed her hand on it. The lights inside the ship changed from white to soft gold. Long ago, Lena began, a great danger came to Earth, not with war, but silence. A silence so deep it made people forget who they were. Fear began to grow. Anger followed. The leaders didn't know what to do. Mira stood still, listening. One day, Lena continued, a woman volunteered to help. She didn't know the truth of what was happening, but she had something no weapon could offer: kindness, love, and peace. That woman was you. Mira's hands trembled. You did, Lena said. And it worked. Your heart saved millions. But your memories were locked away. For your safety. Mira touched her chest. Why me? Because you're human, Lena said. And sometimes that's the most powerful thing in the universe. Outside the ship, the large doors opened above. The sky appeared, full of stars. The ship began to rise, slow and steady. Mira held onto the railing. Where are we going now? Lena stepped beside her. To a place where your light is needed. Again, as the stars grew brighter, Mira looked out the window. She felt fear, but also something else: hope. The earth below faded into distance, and Mira, once just an old woman in the backseat of a car, now floated toward a destiny she had forgotten, but never lost. Mira sat by the wide window, her eyes fixed on the stars. They didn't blink like they did from Earth. Out here, they stood still, silent, sharp, endless. The ship moved quietly, smoother than any car or plane she had ever known. It didn't shake, didn't hum. It simply flowed forward like it was part of space itself. Lena stood nearby, speaking softly into a glass panel that lit up with symbols Mira couldn't understand. She looked calm, focused, like someone who belonged here. Mira, on the other hand, felt like a visitor in a dream she didn't ask for. She turned her gaze away from the stars. Lena, what is this place? Lena walked over, her boots making no sound on the soft floor. This is the Hope Carrier. That's the ship's name. It was built for one reason: to protect you. Mira gave a dry laugh. Me? Protect me? I'm old, Lena. I get tired just from standing too long. Lena sat beside her. You're more than you remember. Mira looked down at her hands. I raised you, changed your diapers, helped you walk. When did you become the one flying spaceships and protecting me? Lena smiled gently. It's a long story. You didn't just raise me. You raised something greater than you ever knew. Mira tilted her head. Are you even human? Lena paused. I was born on Earth. I grew up in your home. I had your food, your stories, your love. But I'm not just human, not anymore. Mira stared. Explain it to me like I'm 5, please. Lena nodded. 50 years ago, something visited Earth. It didn't land, it didn't speak. But it was there, watching, measuring. Mira's breath caught. Aliens? Lena nodded again. Yes, and not friendly at first. Their minds didn't understand fear or peace. Only logic, power, survival. They saw humans as unstable, dangerous. Then why didn't they attack? Mira asked. They were ready to, Lena said. But something changed. Someone changed them. Mira's heart began to beat faster. You. Lena whispered. You were chosen for a test. You volunteered, not knowing the full truth. You were placed in a dreamlike state. You spoke to them, not with words, but with feelings. Mira frowned. I don't remember anything like that. You wouldn't, Lena said. The memories were locked away. To keep you safe. The aliens believed your emotions were dangerous. But beautiful. They left Earth in peace for years. Mira stood slowly, walking toward a glowing console. And now? Lena's face turned serious. Now the peace is breaking. They're younger. Race the fireborn don't believe in emotion. They believe in cleansing what they can't control. War, Myra whispered. Worse, Lena said. A silence that destroys everything. No sounds. No light, just ending. Mira looked at the stars again. And you think I can stop that? You already did once, Lena said. They remember you. They called you the listener. You were the first human who felt them instead of fearing. Them, Mira shook her head. But I'm just me. I forget names. I need help walking sometimes. Lena walked to a small round platform. Come here. There's something you should see. Mira stepped carefully onto the platform. The lights dimmed. A soft hum began. Then images surrounded her. She saw herself young, lying on a table, wires attached to her temples. She was breathing slowly. A glowing figure stood beside her, no face, just soft colors that changed with emotion. A voice filled the air, not words, but music, comfort, hope, kindness. The figure reached toward her younger self. Mira's dream self. Held out a hand. They touched. Then everything went white. The lights returned. Mira stood in silence, eyes wide. I remember. A dream, she whispered. I was floating. I wasn't afraid. There was a light, and I kept saying, it's okay. You're safe. That was real, Lena said. Myra turned to her. And now what? Lena looked serious. They've asked for you, not an army. Not a leader, just you. Mira blinked. Why didn't the world know about this? Lena smiled faintly. Because sometimes saving the world doesn't need fame. Just someone brave enough to care. Mira sat again, slower this time. Her mind was full, heavy with old memories and new truths. The ship gave a soft beep. A screen appeared, showing a glowing blue ring in space. Ships circled it like bees. Mira could see many shapes, some small like birds, others huge like mountains. What is that? She asked. Haven Ring, Lena said. The center of the Alliance. They're waiting for you. Mira didn't speak. She watched the ring grow larger on the screen. Then she said quietly, Lena, why did you agree to all this? Lena took her hand. Because you loved me when no one else did. I'm here because of your kindness. And now the universe needs that same kindness again. The ship entered the Haven Ring slowly. Docking lights blinked. Doors began to open. Mira stood tall, her back straight despite her age. Let's go, she said. Lena smiled proudly. Yes, Mother, let's go. As they stepped out, dozens of beings, tall, short, glowing, feathered, even some floating, stood in silence. Then, all at once, they bowed to an old woman who once gave a gentle touch to a scared alien and changed the galaxy forever. The fireborn ship was unlike anything Myra had ever seen. It was not made of metal, but of living stone and flame, shaped like a great creature from a dream. Its red surface pulsed with heat, but the Hope carrier matched its movements carefully. Like a gentle visitor knocking on a sleeping giant's door. Mira stood near the airlock, dressed in a white suit designed to protect her body from strong heat. Her heart was steady, but her eyes showed deep thought. She had been many things in life, a mother, a teacher, a friend, but never a visitor to a ship made of fire. Lena stood behind her, her hand resting gently on Myra's shoulder. You're not alone, she said softly. I know, Mira replied. But I have to walk in alone. That's the only way they'll listen. The Hope carrier's airlock opened. A soft ramp extended into a wide tunnel of red light. Warm air rushed in, heavy and alive. Mira took a breath. Then she stepped forward. Inside the fireborn ship, the air shimmered like waves over hot sand. The walls glowed orange and gold, breathing with soft pulses like a heartbeat. Strange shapes moved in the shadows, tall, flame-like. Figures, their bodies changing shape as they walked. They said nothing. They only watched. Mira walked slowly, her cane tapping softly on the floor. Each step felt like a test. The heat pushed against her, but the suit kept her safe. Finally, she reached the center of the great hall. A circular platform rose before her, surrounded by fireborn beings, 12 of them standing like statues. Their eyes burned like stars, but their faces had no mouths. They did not speak with sound. They felt. Mira stopped in the center and bowed her head. One of the fireborn stepped forward. Its flames grew brighter. Mira suddenly saw a memory knot. Her own, but from the creature. A bright world. Explosions, fear. The fireborn watching as planets fought one another. Then, silence. No trust. No kindness. Only survival. Then another memory appeared, this one hers. She was young again. Sitting on her bed, holding a crying child. Rocking her gently, whispering a soft lullaby. The fireborn stood still. More memories. Came hers and theirs, mixed together like pages from 2 different books. She saw her first steps with Lena in the park. The fireborn's first contact with humans' confusion and fear. Mira touching the glass of her dream pod long ago, whispering comfort through her thoughts. The bond was still there, but it was thin. Mira closed her eyes. She didn't try to speak with words. Instead, she let her emotions rise slow and warm. Love. Patience. Care. Memory. The platform beneath her feet lit up. A gentle hum filled the hall. The fireborn beings stepped closer. Their flames turned soft gold. Mira opened her eyes. I'm still here, she said, voice calm. I never stopped caring. You didn't forget. You just got quiet. No one spoke, but the room changed. The heat became warmer, not threatening. The colors turned softer. The flames moved slower. Then, something incredible happened. A shape formed in the center of the platform. It was a small creature made of light. Not human, not fireborn, a mix. A child of both. The fireborn backed away slowly. They watched with deep focus. Mira stepped forward and knelt. The light creature touched her hand. In that moment, memories poured into her mind, not just hers. Not just the fireborn's, but the shared history they had together. Memories she didn't know were locked inside her. She remembered her time in the dream pod. The gentle voice of the first fireborn leader. The choice to give a part of her memory to help them grow. You're part of me, she whispered to the light creature. And I'm part of you. The creature nodded, glowing brighter. Suddenly, a wave of emotion spread through the room like music. Peace, warmth, a memory of home. The fireborn beings slowly knelt. They accepted her once more. Back on the Hope Carrier, Lena watched the scene through the glass window. Her chest rose and fell with quiet pride. She did it, one of the crew whispered. She reminded them, Lena said softly. That peace lives in memory. The light inside the fireborn ship grew steady. The red glow turned to soft gold. Then Mira appeared at the doorway, walking slowly, holding the hand of the glowing creature beside her. In the meeting hall later, the Council of Stars stood again. This time, the fireborn were present, too peaceful and calm. Mira sat quietly, sipping warm tea. She looked tired, but her eyes were brighter than ever. You gave them something they never had, the silver mist being said. A memory of care. I just shared what I had, Mira replied. Even fire can learn to be warm instead of wild. The council offered her the title, Star Mother. She smiled and politely refused. I'm just Mira, she said. That's enough for May. That night, as stars moved outside the ship, Mira sat in her room beside Lena. I remembered everything, Mira said. And now I know they're not monsters, they were just lost. Like so many are, Lena replied. Mira held her hand. We all need someone to remind us who we are. Even if that someone is just an old woman. Lena smiled, tears in her eyes. You're not just anything, she said. You're the reason the stars are quiet tonight. The hall inside Haven Ring was silent when Mira entered. The floor shone like still water. Tall glass walls looked out into deep space, where ships floated like fireflies. Creatures from many worlds stood in rows, heads bowed in respect. Some had smooth skin like stone. Others had feathers, fins, or metal parts glowing with soft light. Mira walked slowly beside Lena, her steps careful but steady. Her old legs trembled a little, but her heart was strong. She didn't fully understand why they honored her. Not yet, but something inside her was starting to wake up like a voice she hadn't heard in years. As they reached the center of the hall, a tall alien stepped forward. His skin was silver blue, his eyes like pools of light. When he spoke, his voice came through a small translator on his chest. "We welcome the listener, the one who calmed the first silence." Mira gave a small nod. "I'm not sure I deserve that title." The alien gave a slow, respectful blink. "Your presence says otherwise." Lena guided Mira to a round platform with 3 seats. One was made just for her, soft, warm, and shaped like a familiar armchair from Earth. "This is the memory station," Lena whispered. "It can unlock things your mind forgot, safely." Mira looked nervous. "Is it going to hurt?" "No," Lena said gently. "You'll simply see what was hidden. And this time, you'll remember." Mira sat down. A soft ring of light formed around her head. She closed her eyes. Then flash. She was young again. She stood in a white room, bright, peaceful, silent. A floating figure approached. No face, just shifting light, it felt. Afraid. Mira remembered herself in that moment, not as a hero, not as a brave warrior. Just a kind woman. She had smiled and said, "It's all right. You don't have to be scared." The creature pulsed with warm color. A voice, deep, soft, not human, spoke inside her mind. "You feel safe. You do not demand. You do not control. You listen." The memory shifted. She saw herself lying in a glass pod. Tubes were attached to her skin. Scientists watched from behind walls. The alien stood beside her, hand glowing over her heart. Her voice spoke, "Even in sleep, everyone needs comfort, even stars, even shadows." The memory faded slowly. Mira opened her eyes. Her cheeks were wet with tears. She looked at Lena. "I remember now." Lena's eyes were soft. "You connected with them. Not through power, but peace." Mira nodded. "I didn't understand what I was doing. I just wanted to help." A smaller alien approached. It looked like a walking tree, with soft green eyes. It held something like a glowing flower. "Your memory still lives within the core," it said. "But the core is fading. The peace it gave is ending. The fireborn rise again." Mira touched the flower. It pulsed under her fingers. Lena explained, "This is a living signal. Your thoughts shaped it. Your feelings powered it. That's what kept the fireborn quiet for 50 years. Why is it failing now?" Mira asked. The tree creature answered, "Because you grew old. You forgot. The bond weakened. And now they do not feel your light anymore." Mira looked down. "Then they'll attack?" "Soon," the alien said. "Unless you return and remind them." Mira stood from the chair. Her bones ached, but her mind was sharper than it had been in years. She felt clearer, stronger. "I need to meet them again," she said. Lena's eyes widened. "That's dangerous." "The fireborn don't talk. They react. They burn." Mira smiled gently. "So I'll be gentle too." The silver-blue alien stepped forward again. "The council cannot force you, but we ask, will you speak to them one last time?" Mira didn't hesitate. "Yes." Later that day, Mira sat in a quiet room on the Hope carrier. Lena brought her tea, earth tea, from their old home. The smell reminded Mira of early mornings on her back porch, birds singing, the wind soft. "You could stay here," Lena said quietly. "We could find another way." Mira held the warm cup. I've lived my life. I had a good one. You gave me love. That was more than enough. Lena looked down. You gave me a life. I was no one before you. Mira placed a hand on Lena's. And now you're someone strong. You flew me across stars. You helped me remember who I am. That means I didn't raise you wrong. They smiled at each other. Outside the window, a massive ship approached. It was dark red, shaped like a burning claw. This was it, the Fireborn. A message came through. No words, just one image, Myra's face. Lena's voice trembled. They remember you, Mira nodded. Then I'll help them remember peace too. The Hope Carrier floated gently into the heart of Haven Ring, like a silver leaf drifting through the stars. Mira stood at the front window of the ship, her eyes wide with wonder. All around her, space was alive. Ships of every shape and size glided through glowing paths. Some looked like jellyfish, others like great wings or tiny beads of light. Lena stood beside her, calm and focused. They're all waiting, Mother, she said softly. For me? Mira asked, surprised. For your voice, Lena replied. For your heart. The ship came to a stop before a large golden gate. It opened slowly, revealing a round chamber, filled with light. The walls showed moving stars, like a living map of the universe. Inside stood the Council of Stars leaders from across the galaxy. Mira stepped forward slowly. Her footsteps echoed softly in the chamber. She wore a long blue robe, simple but elegant, gifted to her by the Council. It felt warm and light, like wearing hope itself. Lena walked beside her, but stayed one step behind. This was Myra's moment. The Council members stood in a wide circle. Each one was different. A tall being made of glowing mist. A small creature with 6 eyes and silver feathers. A robot-like figure with vines growing from its arms. A pair of twins who shared one voice, but all of them bowed when Mira entered. The tall mist being stepped forward and spoke. Its voice came through soft waves in the air. We greet the listener who once brought silence to war and peace to fire. Mira gave a small nod. Thank you, but I am only a woman. I didn't plan this. The twins replied in one voice. That is why your voice matters. You did not lead with power. You led with care. Mira looked around the circle. Lena told me about the Fireborn. About the danger. I understand why I'm here now. The vine-covered robots step forward. They rise with the red sun. They listen only to memory. Yours is the only one they accept. Mira sat in the chair placed in the center of the chamber. Then tell me everything. I want to understand what happened before I forgot. Lena touched a control on her wrist. The lights in the room dimmed. A floating screen appeared in the air above the Council. It showed an ancient history, images, not words. Mira watched as planets burned long ago. A race of flame and fury rose from the ashes, the Fireborn. They did not speak in language, but in heat, light, and motion. Every world they touched was changed. Some survived. Some did not. Then Mira saw herself, a younger version, floating in a dream pod on Earth, reaching out through a bridge of light. She saw the moment she touched the heart of one Fireborn leader. Her thoughts entered their world like calm rain. Peace followed. Not by force, but by feeling. The screen faded. Silence filled the chamber. Mira took a deep breath. They didn't understand kindness until they felt it. But that feeling, it faded over time. Lena stepped forward. The memory of your mind is still in them, but weak. They are losing it. And their instinct to destroy is waking up again. The glowing mist being said, only you can restore the bond. But we cannot ask you to risk yourself. Mira looked down at her hands. They were old, tired. But inside her heart, a flame still burned. Not the fire of war, but the fire of care. I raised a daughter, Mira said. I gave her love even when I had nothing. I gave her a home, a name, and a reason to dream. If I can do that for one person, I can try to do it for a whole species. The council bowed again. Mira stood. Take me to them. Later, Mira sat in her private quarters aboard the Hope carrier. The stars outside moved slowly. Lena entered quietly, carrying a warm cup of tea. Everything changes tomorrow, Lena said. Mira sipped the tea. I feel like I'm going to a parent-teacher meeting. Except the students breathe fire. Lena smiled, but her eyes were full of worry. You don't have to go alone. Mira reached out and took Lena's hand. I was alone for many years. Before you came into my life, you changed that. Now I want to change something for them. Lena sat beside her. What if they don't listen? Myra looked at her gently. Then I will still try. That's what kindness does. It shows up, even when it's not easy. There was silence between them. A peaceful silence. Then the ship spoke. Incoming signal. Fireborne vessel approaching. Mira and Lena stood and walked to the viewing window. Massive shape filled the screen. Red and black, burning from within. The ship looked alive like a sleeping volcano ready to wake. Mira placed her hand on the glass. So this is it. Lena nodded. This is where the universe will remember. Or forget. Mira closed her eyes. Inside, she felt the warmth of her memories, the laughter of a child, the song she once hummed, the quiet days under the sun. And then the door to her room opened. 2 silent guards stood there, one alien, one human. It is time, said the alien guard. Myra turned to Lena. Whatever happens, remember one thing. What? Lena asked. Peace is never loud, but it lasts longer than war. The stars outside the Hope carrier glowed quietly, like tiny eyes watching from the dark. Inside the ship, Mira sat at a round table with Lena and 3 members of the Star Council. Her hands were wrapped around a warm cup of tea, the same kind she used to drink on her porch back on Earth. She had just returned from the fireborne ship, and though her face looked tired, her spirit felt full. They listened to me, she said softly. They truly listened. The silver-blue alien counselor nodded. You reached their hearts. That has not happened in many years. They were afraid, Mira continued, not of war, but of forgetting. They were losing the memory of peace. Lena looked at her mother with both pride and worry. You brought it back to them. But now they want more, don't they? Mira gave a small nod. Yes. They've asked me to return with them, to guide them, to be their memory anchor. The room went still. You mean live with them? Lena asked, her voice quiet. Yes, Mira said. They believe my presence keeps them calm. My thoughts, my kindness, even my old memories. Help them stay balanced. Lena looked down. That means you won't be coming back. Mira reached over and took her hand. I may not return to Earth, but I'll still be part of something beautiful. Something bigger than me. One of the counselors spoke. If you choose to stay with them, the peace treaty will be sealed. The Fireborn will become part of the Alliance. Mira looked out the window. The red Fireborn ship floated nearby, glowing a soft gold instead of harsh orange. It was already changing. I never planned for this, she said. I thought I was going to a nursing home, not saving the galaxy. Lena gave a soft laugh, wiping a tear. You always surprised people, Mother. The next day, a great hall was prepared inside Haven Ring. Flags and lights from many worlds decorated the walls. Beings of all shapes and sizes filled the seats. Ambassadors, commanders, historians, and even children. At the center stood a tall crystal pillar. That was where the peace agreement would be marked. Not signed with a pen, but sealed through a shared memory ritual. A tradition older than any Earth nation. Mira stood at the edge of the platform, dressed in simple white. The Fireborn leader stood across from her, its flames calm and steady. The glowing child creature, part Fireborn, part memory light, stood between them, linking them together. The silver mist being from the council spoke aloud for all to hear. Today, a new path begins. The listener will pass her light into the memory core of the Fireborn. In return, the Fireborn will choose peace. This is not a command. This is a bond. The lights dimmed. Mira stepped forward. She touched the child creature's hand. At once, her thoughts filled the space. A picnic in the grass. A rainy day with Lena sitting beside her, coloring. The smell of bread baking in the oven. Helping a bird with a broken wing. The day she held Lena for the first time, her memories, simple and full of love, spread through the Fireborn minds like warm sunlight after winter. The great hall glowed gold. Then, the Fireborn leader stepped forward. It opened its flame body slightly, and Mira saw something she never expected. A Fireborn nest, a place of peace and birth. Until now, no one had ever seen one. You gave us calm, the voice rang in her head, not loud, but full of truth. Now, we learn to give life. The Fireborn placed a glowing ember in Mira's hand. It didn't burn. It felt soft like holding a heartbeat. This is a piece of our memory, the voice continued. Take it with you. It will live where you live. Mira held the ember close. Then I'll keep it safe. After the ceremony, Lena and Mira sat alone in a quiet room. They didn't say much. The silence between them was full of love. Finally, Lena spoke. Are you sure this is what you want? Mira looked at her daughter. This is what I was meant for. Maybe I didn't know it, but kindness has always been my path, whether with you or with them. Lena held her tears. You won't be forgotten, you know. Mira smiled. I don't need statues or songs. I just want you to live well. To be the same kind, strong girl I raised. You made me that way, Lena said softly. They hugged long and tight. When they pulled away, Mira pressed something into Lena's hand. It was a memory crystal, a small glowing stone that held thoughts. If you ever miss me, Mira said, just hold this. It'll show you one of my best days. What memory is inside it? Lena asked. The day I chose to adopt you, Mira whispered. The moment you smiled at me, and I knew I'd never be alone again. Lena cried quietly, holding the crystal. Close out the next morning, the Hope Carrier and the Fireborn vessel parted ways. Mira stood on the bridge of the Fireborn ship, beside the glowing child creature. Her body was old, but her soul felt young again. She watched Lena's ship drift into the stars. Then she turned to her new home. Far from Earth, among glowing stars and quiet flame, a woman once forgotten now became the soul of peace for an entire species. She didn't carry weapons. She didn't shout commands. She simply carried love, and shared it with those who had never known it before. Years passed quietly among the stars. Mira lived with the Fireborn on their glowing ship. She became their guide, their memory, and their light. The Fireborn learned to feel kindness and peace, all because one old woman believed in them. Though her hair turned whiter and her steps slowed, her heart stayed warm and strong. Every morning, she watched the stars through wide windows, remembering Earth and the family she loved. One day, as she sat in her favorite chair, the glowing child creature approached her. It held a small crystal, shining softly. Mira, it said in the language of feelings, the Fireborn wished to send you a message from Earth. Mira smiled. I would like that. The crystal began to glow brighter. Inside, images appeared, simple, beautiful moments from her past on Earth. She saw Lena, young and full of life, playing in a garden under the sun. Lena laughed and waved toward the sky. Then, Mira saw a small Earth home, peaceful and full of light. Tears filled Mira's eyes. They remember. Yes, the creature said. Your kindness touched many worlds. Your love lives on. Back on Earth, Lena stood beside a garden filled with flowers. The air smelled fresh and warm. She held the memory crystal Mira had given her long ago. Whenever Lena felt lonely, she would hold it close and see her mother's smile. The crystal showed her the days when Myra held her hand, taught her to dream, and loved her without end. Lena often told stories about her mother, about the woman who saved a galaxy with kindness and courage. People listened. They smiled. They believed. In schools, children learned about Myra's journey, not as a great warrior or powerful leader, but as a woman who chose love over fear. Myra's story became a beacon of hope, showing that even one person's kindness could change the universe. Far from Earth, Myra walked slowly through the fireborne ship. The beings she had helped now smiled gently when they saw her. They had grown calm and peaceful, their flames soft and warm. A new generation of fireborn children played nearby, half flame, half light, full of life. They carried the memory of Myra's kindness in their hearts. Myra sat on a bench beside the glowing stars outside the ship. She closed her eyes and felt the warmth of many worlds. Though she was far from Earth, she was never alone, because love and hope were stronger than distance, stronger than time. One evening, as the ship drifted quietly through space, Lena's voice came through a small communicator. "Myra, I want you to know, I'm proud of you, more than words can say." Myra smiled. "And I'm proud of you. You gave me the strength to do this." Lena laughed softly. "You always had it inside you." Myra looked out at the stars. Maybe that's the true magic. The magic of kindness, the magic of love, the magic of one small light shining in the dark.